Hello everyone, it's good to be back. It seems like a week takes forever to pass, but I'm glad that you can join me tonight as we read another story that will take us deep into the thoughts of a married woman reconnecting with a childhood friend and the storm that rages in her heart as she tries to resist falling for him. What would a confused wife do when she finds herself caught between a husband who loves her and the man who secretly consumes her thoughts? This is the story of Vanessa. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Love Notes. Dear Joe, writing this is so surreal. It actually sent me shivers. Needless to say, I've been a fan since before I could ever drive a car, which is about 27 years ago. And I know you've probably heard this a million times, but I really do miss you and your show. Anyway, I just finished watching the Distance Between Us episode, and that story hit me in so many ways. I just felt that I needed to write and share this with you and your viewers. You see, I could relate to the story of Grace. I've been married for 17 years to a very loving husband, and he has given me two wonderful sons who make me prouder by the minute. I could be considered a religious person, but I have to admit that I still have a lot of weaknesses that I need to work on. I do recognize, however, that my strength comes from the Lord, and this is the kind of faith that I wish to pass on to my children. Joe, my family life is very stable. We have had our share of critical challenges, but all in all, we're doing really very well. There is absolutely no reason, small or big, for me to even think about leaving my family or my husband for that matter. This story started when we had a high school reunion not so long ago. People in my past whom I didn't even consider to be friends back then became really very close to me because we spent so much time together during the preparations leading to the main event. That's when JP and I became close. A few of us from the reunion remained really good friends, and we continued seeing each other regularly. I'm always happy when I'm with them. We have been through a lot already and have actually considered each other family. Joe, I have known JP since childhood, but we only became really close after the reunion. I don't know, but I started to develop feelings for him. He is a single dad, but his dating life, I should say, is very active, yet very private. When we were alone together, he seems to be confiding to me a lot. He even became close to my husband and my children. So I could not really say that this was flirting, because he may really be in need of a friend during that time. I felt like he needed someone whom he does not have to impress, only to confide in and not judge him. Joe, I prayed about this so many times because I started to feel confused about how I felt for him. I know it's not right, and the guilt that came with it, even if they were just only in my thoughts, was becoming a burden because I knew I should also guard my heart. Even my children noticed how perky I get when I tell them that Tito JP is coming over. Even my husband teases me about it. Sure, we joke about it at home, but it really feels like the more I fight this, because I know it's wrong, the more intense my feelings become. It's been going on for 3 years now, and we don't even talk or see each other that often, especially when the pandemic started. Joe, since I have always turned to God for everything in my life, He has opened an opportunity for me to work abroad. Circumstances in my life and my family have led to this decision. But I do believe it is also God's way of protecting me and preventing me from doing something I would painfully regret if I continue to follow my heart. This doesn't lessen my feelings for JP though, and it's not a guarantee that when he visits me there, I wouldn't give in. But maybe this is God's way of leading me to a better path, and all I have to do is obey. Joe, I just wanted to share my story because sometimes There is really no rhyme or reason when faced with this kind of temptation. I still love my husband very, very much. My husband is the best husband I could ever have. Yet I still find myself falling helplessly for another man. I just could not explain it. And it doesn't seem to go away, even when I deny, hide, or fight it. Please pray for me, Joe, and for everyone out there who may find themselves in the same situation. And finally, I would like to share this verse from 1 Corinthians 10:13. No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so you can endure it. Thank you very much, Joe. God bless you always. Sincerely yours, Vanessa. Vanessa, thank you for having the courage to step out and share your story with us. My prayer is that this episode will serve as a reminder to everyone watching or listening today that getting attracted to someone other than your spouse may seem harmless at first, but left unchecked, this attraction can blindly turn into a weakness that can have dire consequences. These seemingly naive beginnings have caused marriages to be needlessly destroyed and families painfully torn apart. Vanessa, I know that deep in your heart that you know what is right. You knew that you needed to guard your heart. First, because it is very deceitful. Second, because you know that your feelings don't think. You said you love your husband so much, and he's the best husband you could ever have. And yet, you still have this obsessive longing for JP that you just can't shake off, even when you deny, hide, or fight it. Vanessa, I felt uneasy when you said that he confides to you when you are alone together. Married women should never allow themselves to be alone with another man without some level of accountability. When you said that you may not be able to hold yourself back, not if, but when he visits you abroad, means that you have talked and planned about this. And somehow I feel that deep inside, you are actually entertaining the thought of spending time with him away from your family. Honestly, I don't think that running away from him will ever make a difference. And the chance encounter with him when you are away from your family can be very, very dangerously destructive. The explanation why this is happening is beautifully simple, yet weirdly and unexplainably complex. You simply have fallen for JP. And what is ahead, which I know you also see, is a solid line and a big sign on the road saying, "Wrong way, go back." And I needed to highlight this because the moment you cross this line, you are digging deeper into the hole in your marriage that you will regret starting in the first place. Vanessa, you have already committed emotional infidelity with your husband just by driving on this wrong side of the road. JP being close to your husband doesn't necessarily mean that he respects him and acknowledges his boundaries. And I have something to say about this to JP and all men, married or not. May I remind you, if you have an issue with your life, please don't go looking for married women to confide it to, unless that's their job. They have too much on their plate already. Go find a male friend or a counselor to talk to. Just leave a married woman where she belongs, to her husband and to her family. The Bible reminds us that no temptation has overtaken us except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let us be tempted beyond what we can bear. But when we are tempted, God will also provide a way out so that we can endure it. Vanessa, there are 3 things that I want to share with you about this. Submit, resist, and commit. When we are tempted to our limits, the first thing that we need to understand is this. On our own strength, we cannot fight back. we need to submit ourselves to the Lord first. He is the one who will show us a way out and give us the strength to endure the temptation. Second, when we know that we are acting on the strength that God has provided and not on our own, we can make a stand and resist the lies, the empty promises, and the seductive lure of a forbidden affair. Third, let us not underestimate the value and the simplicity of commitment. Sometimes, somewhere in our marriage, we will unknowingly drift away from the center and get carried away by the waves of our own desires and expectations. But regardless of our present reality, we need to stay committed to our spouses. Remember, commitment is a decision. It is a willful act to choose to stay faithful to the vows we made, regardless of our present reality or how we feel at the moment. Vanessa, submit yourself not to your desire, but to the Lord. Resist JP and everything there is about him. And remember your commitment. Go back to the day you said, I love you to your husband when you got married. That was the day when you chose to live your life as a wife to him. And I urge you, Vanessa, to choose to stay in that life. What you felt for JP is real and has almost cost you your marriage. And the healing that needs to happen is even more substantial. We all go through things like this. It's called life, but God is faithful. So Vanessa, take a deep breath and let JP walk away from your life. Let us remember, knowing what's right is just half of the journey. It is doing what is right that truly matters in the end. Thank you for joining us tonight. God bless you, and I'll see you again next week for another inspiring and encouraging story here on Dear Joe TV.